Hello, and welcome to today's CX Disruptor episode. My name is Jarrod, and I am with product marketing at Cognigy. But I know you're not here for me. Today, I'm very pleased to have Amas Tenumah with us, who I have just learned off camera. His name means I love to sleep. Well, that's another story, I guess. He has launched contact centers. He's consulted about digital solutions for contact centers, worked at big brands like Coca-Cola, and I think it's maybe best known for your podcast. Am I wrong?
Yeah, absolutely. You do all this cool stuff, and eventually you're just known as the podcast guy, right? You're the.
Well, I mean,
Thank
as
you.
long as you're
Thank you
known,
for
right?
having me. Exactly. Thank you for having me. Looking forward to chatting with you.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell us about yourself? I would hate to have
Yeah.
missed something.
Yeah, please. Let's go to my in the third grade. I got a medal for no, I kid.
For
In
service,
addition to
customer service.
for customer service. That's right. In addition to that, I host the most popular contact center podcast, and I'm an author. I've written 3 books around customer service, and I've spent my entire career in and around service, contact center, and all things service. So I can talk and write about this stuff all day.
Well, that's perfect. I have a feeling that's why you're here.
Yes, I hope so, because it's not going to be my trivia knowledge. So.
And I'm going to have to switch question sheets now. You have to give me a moment. But with that, we'll jump right into it. So you've been around it forever. Speaking of today, why do you think customers are so frustrated, and dare I say more than frustrated, with service and contact centers in general?
Yeah, there's a customer rage survey. That's a thing. They've been measuring this thing for decades, and it's at an all-time high right now, like 74%. People are just angry. And if you think customers are angry, wait till you talk to contact center employees and service employees in general. But I think for the last almost 30 years, all of my career, customers have asked one question. I just want to get my stuff resolved on my own terms. And we have answered with, I will throw more and more digital at you, and you will like it. And if you don't like it, I'll throw more digital at you. Customers have come back again and said, gosh, I just want to resolve my issue on my own term. And we've been in this circle. So certainly COVID and the climate we're in was an accelerant. But in the end, the real issue we've been dealing with, the secular issue for decades, has been, I want to resolve my issue in the way I like. And we've said, I know the best way to resolve your issue. And we've just thrown all kinds of new channels, and we've chased the latest toy and the latest hype without getting back to just giving the customer what they've asked for. So unfortunately, things are now coming to a head. And I don't want to excuse customer behavior. Some of it is abhorrent, but this has been building up. This has been building up for quite some time.
This actually sort of segues into the next question, but I'm going to change it a little bit. So you said on the one hand, customers, they're like, look, I just want to get my problem solved my way. And then you said, and contact centers have just been throwing sort of digital solutions at them. And so I'm kind of interested, because at the same time, I mean, me as a customer, I want more digital. I mean, I don't want bad digital, but why can't I get service that's as smooth as like what I can do on WhatsApp or on my iPhone? Why don't you offer that, right? Maybe you could talk a little bit more about, what's the gap there between what they want? Is it about tech? Is it about the process?
Yeah, no, great question. I think about it this way. And when people hear me say throwing digital, you might start to think I'm a technophobe or something. I'm actually a technologist. I started my career developing solutions for contact centers, right? And I'm in technology all day long. What I actually mean is, the question was, hey, I've got these problems. I want to solve it in the way I want. And instead of thoughtfully saying, put all the technology and our processes aside, how do I get you to the thing you want? Because in getting them the thing you want, of course, digital is going to be at play, which is a different answer than simply saying more options on the IVR chatbots. The best example I like to use is even my next door neighbor, Pat. She is 79 years old, she lives next door. When she needs like $20, she gets in her car. She still drives, lives alone. She's phenomenal. She gets in her car. She drives to the bank. A woman who hates every press one, press two. She thinks I can solve all customer service problems, so she's always throwing this stuff at me. But she leaves the teller, ignores the teller, and goes to an ATM, an automated teller machine, to make a withdrawal. That is an answer to the question. I want to solve my issue in the way I want. But if she wants to make a deposit, the bank should not have an option on that same ATM that says deposit here, because it's a horrible experience. And so if you simply just take, I am going to give you the thing you're asking for, and I'm going to make sure it's as easy as possible, all the digital, physical thing sort of fizzles out. I think we've just gotten this obsession for years that the only solution that exists to any problem, right, is let me throw technology you haven't thought of. I mean, there are 100-year-olds who use iPhones, right? Technology is not the problem. Good.
My mother-in-law does. I'm super impressed, actually. If she's not 100, I'll get in trouble if she hears this.
Right, but good, thoughtful technology. Because they can barely tell it's technology. We just, in our business,
the point, right?
Yeah, we just keep throwing up. Yep, we've got this new thing. So that's what I mean. I'm glad you made me clarify, because it might sound like I'm anti-technology, of course, but we just shouldn't go worship at the temple of just throwing more tech at every single problem.
You know, we didn't actually script this, but I'm feeling like your answers they're so perfect to what I want to talk about that it almost feels that way. So one of the things that at least I personally like to talk about, also when I'm explaining like AI to people, I'm saying like, look, AI, as an example, it's a means to an end, right? It's not a goal in and of itself. It's you have some other solution, you have some other result that you're trying to get to. There are different ways to get there, and AI, as one example, is maybe the best way. Maybe not always, but it's say the way to get to that result in the best, most efficient, say cost-effective, whatever way. So talking about throwing new technology at people, I don't know if I should give you 3 guesses on the next question. Right now, are you going to guess?
Does it rhyme with I? Is that generative?
So, you're getting warm. But yeah, that's exactly the issue right now. Is it's just all of a sudden it's almost like the iPhone release, where people see this whole new thing, like, oh my God, this is what I want. And companies, of course, are now trying to throw that at people. And I'm not going to tell you that there's not a lot of great use cases for it, but it's pretty early. And what are your thoughts about the impact of generative AI, and I guess concretely how you can use that in a way to deliver the experiences like we just talked about?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think the technology, if we're all just technologists here, all the hype is real. Like, it's going to do this, it's going to change the world. All that hype is real.
Yeah.
What people should not be as certain about is the when, how long it'll take, and whether or not it'll actually be successful outside of the realm of technology. But putting that aside, I think the most head-scratching thing I hear from people on this topic is they want to skip steps and go straight to saving money. By that, I mean, how do we eliminate more humans? And if that's how you are thinking about this, then you have already lost. Like,
I would agree, yeah.
You've already lost. But here is what is exciting to me, and particularly as one who is a contact center service employee, guys. If you just think about this piece of technology as how would it impact the lives of my employees, which, by the way, is your number one customer. Oh my gosh. Think about the job as a contact center person or call center person. I've done that job. I've done telemarketing. It was horrible then and it's horrible now, and we need to change it. And this then has the capability to help us do that. If I think about what makes the job so sometimes life-sucking, it's you are constantly hopping from screen to screen. You're constantly searching. You constantly sound like you're in a hostage video saying things you don't mean. Like, thank you very much for your service. You are this human who wants to serve people, and then they put you in this thing and suck all the human out of you. And there's all this cognitive load. Did I remember to do this? And do I remember to do that? I would be thinking about utilizing this technology to improve their lives so that if I am a contact center employee or service employee, I never need to go search for anything anymore. That's what this technology would do. I never need to remember to say this and to say that. My assistant goes and does all of that. And my job is just to connect with you, human to human, if that's what the situation calls for. Bond, have human experiences like you and I are having. That to me is the biggest promise. Now,
but not customer facing, because you've only talked about agent facing, which is not what people talk about typically.
Yes, I think this customer facing one is to calm down. We will get there. Like, if you just take care of your first customer, need I remind you that the IVR, the automated system, the press one, press two has been around for like 4 decades and no one still likes it? Is it because the technology hasn't improved? No. Need I remind you that 75% of chatbots that are existing today, right, are complete failures? Apple's not good at chatbots. There is a reason why that this is going to take time. But if money savings is what you care about, do you care whether it's who it's in front of? I can save you money today by simply improving the lives, because those interactions are shorter. You have less turnover. A dollar is a dollar is a dollar, right? Unless there is some, religion that has to be customer facing. We will get there. My sense is you have this great forgiving audience today that you can use and work out all the kinks. And then once you've done that, customer facing, if our industry goes down the way from all I read out there, and we just go put this thing straight in front of the customer, it will take us a decade to dig out. Chatbots already have a bad reputation as of many. And whether yours is good or not, people would just go, nope, I'm not using it.
They come with that expectation because, hey, I've been burned 9 other times. This one might actually be really great, but I'm not going to expect that.
No.
Is that any different from calling any customer service number?
Listen,
I mean, sadly, for me, it's not.
Well, Jarrod, I cannot call any 1-800 number in front of young children, like, because there will be profanity. Like,
I want to quote you on that. I love that. That's a fantastic line. Like warning: do not call 1-800 in front of minors.
You just can't, because customer. It's just this. I this morning before RDL, I called customer service because they wouldn't let me cancel my cable online. And that was a frustrating experience. And then they shut off my internet and I was almost late to our meeting. But again, just the notion and what we've done so far is taken that same horrible service that people hate and thought, oh, you know what? Let me give it to you in text form. You know that IVR, let me give it to you. And it doesn't matter whether you call it's AI driven or not. In the end, the customer perception is what wins.
So in a different form, right?
That's it. That's how.
So one thing I wanted to jump to, I didn't want to interrupt you. You talked about, you said, that one of the biggest mistakes that say, a CIO, a CTO, somebody, a CXO could make is looking at this as, okay, we can use this immediately to cut costs, particularly in terms of labor. At the same time, all your suggestions were agent facing, right?
Yes.
So to play devil's advocate here, because I'm sure I'm not the only one who's going to think about the numbers, is if let's say I can save that dollar, but if I have 1,000 contact center agents, that's one thing, but those 1,000 contact center agents are dealing with 500,000 customers. Right. So I think, that's where the opportunity is. That's why everybody's going to go customer first, because that's where you got your scale and where that extra penny, that extra couple of cents adds up really quickly. It doesn't add up so quickly in the contact center. Or am I wrong?
Yeah, I think there's flawed logic there.
Okay.
And the way I sort of think about it is actually in your example, let's say there are 500,000 customers and there are 1,000 agents. Just add them all up together. Like just say, okay, I've got this 5,100 customers, right? Like I'm making up 5,000
Yeah,
and 100 for simpler math, right?
sure.
What you're missing is if you go point this thing at the 5,000 customers and you are wrong, and it doesn't work and they hate it, all you're going to do is make your 100 customers a lot more angry, a lot more sad, and you will be replacing them a lot more often. The
Your
other thing that
agents, you
gets
mean?
your agents, right?
Yeah.
The other thing people also miss is we keep forgetting that like when a customer has an interaction with you, we act like the customer just got bored and decided to come and call you or email you or get on your website. Like the whole reason this whole thing happened was because internally, some employee inside of your building, something broke,
Yep.
right? So if you point this at I call it the middle office, right? Like in the middle, all those boring things, sending them notices, doing all that. If you just start there, what you will get is a service that starts to look like it's proactive. You will get those savings, I promise you, because you will start eliminating calls and emails if you just start there. And then by the time you have perfected a use case internally, by all means, point it to your customers because you now know your tough crowd. It's been battle tested, and then you can point out. But I think the future of service, the way I kind of look at it, is not that we want to continue this model of, your customers are calling you and say, hey, listen, this thing broke. I think our future needs to be thinking about eliminating, not to zero, but fighting towards getting that thing to zero. And that starts internally. You don't go talk to your customers. You use data and the power of AI to figure out where the defects are and eliminate them before they even become an email or a phone call. Because once the phone rings, you've already lost.
That's a good point. So I guess to summarize your advice then would be start internally because
Yes.
there are cost savings and because it's, shall we say, a safer environment in which to fail, and then only later move outwards.
Correct. Yeah. And by doing the internal stuff, you are fixing the external stuff. Let me give you a practical example. So there is a client that I've worked with where a huge chunk of why customers call in to begin with has everything to do with billing, right? So it's just billing issues. So if all of a sudden we pointed data into their internal piece to make sure every time you called in, like I called AT&T today to, cancel my cable. If there's something reminding the person, hey, the person is disconnected cable, do X, Y, and Z, it would have saved them a second call because guess what? I called back because they disconnected my internet as well. All of that call, all of that interaction would have been eliminated to begin with. So again, when I keep saying pointed internal, people need to remember that these humans who are your contact center reps or service reps are here because things are broken. So if you fix their lives, they're not the ones paying the bill. There will be less calls if you make them more efficient, more effective, do things right the first time because it's all automated and reminders, etc.
Yeah.
Your customers will benefit just by the virtue of I wouldn't have made the second call if they had a system that made sure what happened didn't happen. Because when I did get to the rep, the last person I talked to should have taken one step because I had the whole U-verse thing, and if she had clicked one or two buttons, my internet wouldn't have been disconnected.
So I guess the agent assist use case is probably overlooked. I mean, I know I've seen some out there. I know one that we do is using generative AI for auto summarization and wrap up, where which I think we all know after call work is nobody's favorite part of the call.
Right.
Not that the calls are so much fun all the time, All right. Well, hey, thanks a lot for joining us today. I really enjoyed it. And honestly, I think there's some pretty good quotes I already want to use myself.
Jarrod, thank you so much for having me. This has been fun.
All right. Thank you.